Welcome to the Independent Workforce, the podcast where we explore the now and the future of work through the lens of temporary employment, such as freelancers, contractors, fractional experts, you name it. Here we speak with CEOs, recruiters, founders, and industry leaders about how they work with independent talent, the wins, the challenges, and the lessons learned. My name is Yurii. I'm growing the freelance market at FreelancerMap, an international platform that's been connecting top independent professionals with companies for over 20 years. And my guest is Kaja Storbeck, a passionate recruiter at Progressive Recruiting, part of SThree, who is bringing the gap between companies that need specialized experts and best talents and the professionals driving innovation forward, and also on a mission to bring skilled people together to build a bright future of work. So welcome, Kaja.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Yurii, for the great introduction. Very excited to be here today.
Always happy to learn from you, to talk with you. And I did a little bit of introduction and still share with me your background and what role do you play in the freelance market?
Yeah, of course. As you already introduced me, my name is Kaja. I'm currently living in Berlin and also working here at the company SThree. SThree basically is our, let's call it like mother company, and SThree has different brands that we work on. And my brand that I work on is called Progressive. We are focused in the engineering world, and I am more specialized into the train business. So everything around trains and the companies that build the trains, and that's where I place freelancers in. And it's a lot of fun, and I'm excited to share more today.
All people think that freelancers are just developers and that's it, but you are already proven them wrong. So tell me, from your perspective, how has the independent workforce market evolved in the past few years?
So it evolved pretty good, because I feel like that more and more people that feel like are very good and very skilled go into freelancing, which is great because more and more companies get the understanding of, okay, we do have another option, this freelancer thing, and we can place them into our companies for special projects, or if they need any special skill that they don't have in their company right now. And especially in my world, so as I said, I'm only taking care of the train business, so companies that build the train, and it's always project work, because there's a train being built, so the level of workforce or workload goes up. So of course they need more people, and they cannot hire internally for long term, because that would result in long-term costs and so on. So that's why they decide for freelancers and really experts to place into the projects when it's going up, the workload, and then when it's going down again, then they can also let the freelancers go out of this project again.
It sounds like Netflix. When you shoot in a movie, you are not hiring, like you don't have all the actors and all the crew like being employed in your company. You just invite them for the specific project, then the project is done, and then you invite another crew. And I feel like it's a great flexibility. And for example, if we are talking about a company that, I don't know, Microsoft, and they have like tons of people working for them full time. What is the benefit for them of hiring freelancers?
Well, so it always depends, but of course it can be special skills, special knowledge that they don't have. It's like the flexibility. So, for example, if someone is getting sick, or there's an important project, or for example, at the end of the year, they still haven't achieved the numbers that they should have. They can place some people in for like 3 or 4 months to really get on some pace and try to achieve those numbers that they haven't. So there's so many options or cases where a freelancer can be placed in, and it's just an option that I feel like a lot of people still don't know. A lot of people companies don't know about this option. So my job is also to bring some understanding into the market and into the business world.
Do you think that they don't know or they don't want?
Maybe a little bit of both, because I talk to a lot of companies that just don't know how this whole thing works, so I'm there to really explain, or to say like, hey, let's do like a test for 3 months and we can try it out with a freelancer. But of course there's also some people that say, why should we do it? It has been working for the last 50 years. Why should I place a freelancer in now? Because we didn't use them at all the last 50 years.
Yeah. When you hear that, what are your arguments for working with freelancers?
Because it's just how the market works in today's society, I would say. People want more flexibility, they want more options. Also, of course, salary is a big point. As a freelancer, if you go into different projects, of course you can talk about your salary there, and it's more flexibility that people just want. And I think it's good for the managers to know that very, very good people that are skilled are most of the time going into as a freelancer now.
I hear a lot about skill shortage on the market, and it's getting harder and harder to find specific skills that you need on like a full-time market, because either people are already employed in some companies, or they understood that they can work and not be limited to one client, and they turn into freelancing. They are independent businesses, and then they can deliver the same amount of work and sometimes even more and more effective, more productive to different clients. So why should they ever be owned by companies? So that's to your point of like skills and getting the access to this bigger pool. And I'm curious, you also told that companies are telling you that we were doing it for like 50 years. And when you explain them what are the freelancers, how to deal with them, and they're like, oh, okay, we're ready to start, what's the next thing that is blocking them from starting actually working with?
So when we speak of objections, that's how I call it. There's a couple ones. It's like the budget. They don't have enough budget. Maybe that blocks them, or they don't know really where to place the freelancers. Where should the freelancer work on? What kind of like access does he is he allowed to be getting? Also, one question or one blocker that I got was like the NDA. They were scared that the freelancer would go to a different company but in the same industry and like tell all the secrets. So those could be some blockers, just because they have not gotten the experience yet with freelancers.
I feel like it's super hard to start something new. And, for example, even people who are starting exploring AI, for them, it can be like, oh my God, it's like rocket science, even though it sounds much easier than it looks like. So for a company to start with working with a freelancer, like what is step-by-step process, what they should do to hire a freelancer?
Yeah, so to hire a freelancer, basically you need, some budget left, of course. I mean that's important. You need to have like a need, right? Something maybe that's very urgent, something where you need to have a lot of knowledge in, or like some kind of project where you really say, hey, from my people intern, there's no one that could deal with that, or maybe a new process should be built. So there should be a need why you need someone, of course. And then it's pretty much very easy. You can talk to us. I explore the market in regards of what the person or the company needs, how much budget they have. So I really look into those requirements. And then I find some people. Most of the time, my goal is to really present 3 CVs to the company within 48 hours so they can check on those. And then have some interviews and some feedback talks with them, and then they decide for someone, and then really go into like a test, right? So where we say, okay, let's do full-time 3 months, we test it out, And if there's anything that the company doesn't like or is unsure about, they can talk to us, of course. But then also we have very, very flexible termination periods, termination terms. So it's very easy to get a freelancer in, but the same way also a freelancer out, because a lot of companies are also scared, having then a contract and being then, oh my gosh, now we have this freelancer in and now we cannot get him out and have to pay so much. It's always like a blocker in their head, because if you don't give the freelancer a task, they're not getting paid, and that's
Yeah.
very, very important to know that only work is paid, nothing else. But for intern, if they go on vacation or they are in home office not doing anything, they still have to work they still have to pay for their work, right?
Yeah. And it's also something what is really frustrating from freelancer side when companies kind of ready to start, you already signed some agreements, etc. And then it's like week is going on and there is no person who can like onboard a freelancer who can bring them on a project because they are busy or whatever. Also to a point of accesses, they cannot give them access, so freelancer can't really start. And it's like really frustrating because you are not getting paid because you are not working and you are kind of blocked because you kind of already have a contract. So it's like very, 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 I would say shitty situation for freelancer. And I feel like companies has also understand this and to ensure that when you are hiring a freelancer, you have to have everything in place. You have to know how to do onboarding, how to give them access. You have to have a person who will guide them through specific information they need to really start working on a project. And also to a point of like objectives. You told about like NDA, access. I believe there is also like compliance. So what is the administrative stuff that companies need to do from their side to hire a freelancer, and what do you do as someone who helps to hire with freelancer? Like what administrative part is from you on a freelancer side?
Well, basically, if you work then with us or through us to get into projects, we do everything that needs to be done in regards for you to just go into the company and work there as a freelancer. So we teach everyone about those tax situations. If you are a new freelancer or it's your first project, we teach you about the laws, the regulations, everything about compliance. We have our contracts that we do with freelancers, but also then with the client, and we have a whole legal team in our company at SThree that really pays attention to all the compliance there is in regards of putting a freelancer into a project at a client. So that's everything that we do in regards of administrative work. So it's, I would say, easier for the freelancer because they can be sure that everything's, and also the client, of course, right? But if you are on your own as a freelancer, of course, you need to do that by yourself. And yeah, that can be tough sometimes. We all know the law situation in Germany, so there's a lot to pay attention to.
And I believe it's also a huge blocker for companies because they immediately start to think of how many things they have to do to hire just one person. And then like, no, I won't do that. But I also believe that if they sign a contract with you, they have access to like huge pool of talents. And then each time that you are hiring, that they want to hire another freelancer, they don't already have to go through this procedure. They just reach out to you like, hey, Kaja, we need a person for this project. Here is a budget. And then I believe that they just get freelancers. And I'm curious, how long does it usually take from the moment that companies come into you with the need of a freelancer till you till freelancers finally start working?
Mm-hmm. It depends. It can be 2 days, it can be 1 week. Of course, it always depends on the response that I'm getting from the client. But if the client is very, very committed and they respond within 5 minutes, I can place there someone today, for example, it's Friday, I can place someone on Monday. Depending on how fast you need someone, how flexible you are, what the requirements are. But we can be very, very fast just because we have a huge data bank It's huge. We have over 1 million CVs in there from all different industries and all kinds. Also, I have my network on LinkedIn, for example, over 10,000 contacts just from the rail and train industry. So it's crazy there. And of course, we also know our freelancers, right? That's what we do every day. We talk to the market, we talk to the people. And if you name some stack right now, I could tell you who would be available like from November on,
Yeah.
because it's my job, and my job or my goal is to make it as easy and simple as possible. It can be for candidate, but also the client, of course.
And also what I hear that there is a lot of flexibility from your side too, because
Mhm.
let's imagine if we are hiring full time, HR won't work on Saturday or Sunday, and also like people full time, they're kind of untouchable on weekend, and I feel like that's the beauty of freelancing because if you are, as you've said, receive a project on Friday, which usually on Friday nobody works. Like let's be honest, nobody works on Friday like after 12 p.m. Everyone like, yeah, I'm already in a holiday mood or like weekend mood, whatever. And then I believe that you can message freelancer at like 7 p.m. Friday and they can answer you on Saturday, on Sunday, or maybe you can even catch up on a quick call because once again, freelancers don't have fixed time work and
Mhm.
they may like work on Saturday and then they have Monday off, or like they can have like part of Monday off and work part of Sunday. So it's like not that like they have this boxed workforce. And so we were talking a little bit about like the client side, about the company side, and from the freelancer side. So you definitely talk to them a lot. And what are the most common frustrations they face when working with companies?
The most common frustrations, yeah, one point that you already mentioned, if there's no one that can onboard them, or the project's not going, or there's not enough work for them to do, especially when they are let's call like hired or placed into the project for full time, but then all of the sudden there's not enough to do, and they're part time only working, because then they are not receiving the amount of money they expected, of course. So that can be like frustrations that I dealt with in the past. But then, of course, again, we are the ones that are calling the client then and really taking care of this issue, because we are also expected that the person will be taken for full time, and that's how we calculated our prices to the client, right?
Yeah.
So we are the ones, let's say, in between. If there's any issues or anything that's happening which was not um, discussed before, then we will of course try to find solutions there for the freelancer.
This episode of The Independent Workforce is brought to you by Freelancer Map, the home of freelancing. Whether you are looking to hire top freelance talent fast or a freelancer ready to find your next big project, Freelancer Map connects the right people with the right work. No endless job boards, no guesswork, just direct access to verified experts and opportunities across the globe. Visit freelancermap.com and start building your next success story today. In a perfect world, how is the best collaboration from company side looks like with a freelancer? And what I'm talking about, to give you a little bit of context. So you have a project, you signed all the contracts, like everything is clear, and freelancer is like ready to start on Monday. Like what should company provide right away on Monday so freelancers can just go and do their job?
So I have one client who's my, let's let's call, a perfect example for a perfect way how to work with freelancers, because my freelancers go in there and on Monday the laptop is ready, and all the everything's working on the laptop. They have the access because they have prepared this before. And I, of course, also had a lot of projects where my freelancers came in and they had to wait for the laptop and so on, which takes a little. But we were able to find solutions for that as well, of course. But yeah, perfect scenario is when the client is also preparing, and they talk to the team and prepare everyone like, hey, there's someone coming on Monday, and really also be welcoming them, and try to give them a very warm and good welcoming, because then this collaboration will be amazing, if everyone's communicating, everyone knows from each other, and they have everything they need for their work. So that's the best the client can prepare.
Talking about communication, so when you hire a full-time person, they usually have like, I don't know, 1, 2, 3 months onboarding period, and they're getting to know colleagues. So they have a lot of time. Freelancers in the same amount of time can already finish working on the project. So it's like fast forward, it's like super fast onboarding, super fast meeting with the team. So what do companies need to create, like how they can create this friendly environment for freelancers to join?
Yeah, so basically, laptop is ready, everything's installed there. They get some paper or some things they have to read through, maybe also in advance. That's also something that I always tell my clients, like, hey, if the freelancer needs to read through something or needs to prepare something for the first day, you can already send them some stuff so they are prepared, so they can get started right away, and there's not a lot of back and forth, which I really like, because of course for the freelancer is also the goal to get the project to get on the project very fast and to be able to work on there, and not to handle or deal with some administrative stuff and onboarding, because it's not a lot of time for that, of course.
Where do you see the biggest misalignments, like misunderstandings between clients' expectations and freelancer realities?
So of course, I used to have some projects where the client says, "What, the freelancer is not done yet?" We would have expected it to be going faster than it is going right now. So then I talked to my freelancer and I said, "Hey, what's going on? The client already thought you've finished it." But then he was like, "Yeah, I would have finished it, but I didn't have access to this. I didn't have access to that." So, and he told my client, of course, and so there it was an issue with the accesses, for example, and of course then he couldn't have finished everything. So something that's missing. So if the client expects the freelancer to be working very fast, then of course he or she needs to have all the accesses, and there shouldn't be any blockers to that. Another thing I had was that they expected the freelancer to have a knowledge that he didn't have, because they also didn't ask him in the interview, right? And I always tell my clients, hey, if there's anything very, very special, I would suggest you doing like a small test round, or also take an expert from your team into the interview and ask very specific questions to really see if this freelancer is able to do that. And if you have those expectations, then you need to challenge those. So you're not deciding for a freelancer and then you see he's not able to do it. So that's something I had in the past as well. But we were able to find solutions for that as well.
And it also sounds like a little bit of miscommunication when
Mhm.
clients are not communicating properly with freelancers for some reason. I don't know, maybe they do not think that they should spend time talking to freelancers, or maybe don't understand like all the needs, that it's still kind of person on your team. So even though it's like an independent, it's still like the parts of your team, at least for the time that the project runs, and you have to give all the information needed to done the project, because freelancer cannot like get it out of their mind and just deliver you whatever you have on your mind without you telling them about it. So it's also like a lot about the communication. And we talked with you a little bit before the recording that companies are not changing their mindset, and that all those companies who are not changing them they can miss out on the best talents, on the best skills, on the best experience. So I'm curious, from your perspective, if companies, let's say for those companies who are still not working with flexible talents, what
Mhm.
are the risks that they face?
So I feel like that companies are missing out on knowledge, on skills, on really experts that have very good experience from different projects, you know, that can really do the same in your company that they have done in the past few projects. And also, if you're just working with your intern people, everyone's so blind after a time, right? That's what they say. So it's this blindness. We have some kind of sentence in Germany we say, this company blindness you have, and sometimes it's very, very great to have someone come in, have new experience, other ideas, new ideas, because this person is always at the top of the market, knows the new trends, knows how it works. He has seen different companies where it has been working. So it's very, very good to sometimes just get someone in and get some new perspective, what there is and what kind of options there is on the market.
You know, it sounds like when there is a junior expert and they're working on some kind of project, and then they come into their manager and say like, "Oh, I've been spending like 2 or 3 hours already on this task and I have no idea how to solve it." And manager like looks like here, and then like, "Oh, really?" So manager sees it right away, and it's of course yes they have experience, and not just that, to your point of this being blind, because if you are focusing on one thing, you might not know other ways how to do it right, and you might just simply miss this single point. And to a point that freelancers are really bringing this like huge market expertise, not just like something that you have inside of your company. And I feel like the companies are really, really, really missing out on that. And how do you see the role of freelancers evolving in the global workforce?
So I, of course, hope that more and more companies have the understanding of the options there is, and also that freelancers are really people that are a part of our solution, and are not just people that we place in if we have a problem, but we can also place them in case of thinking of the future and thinking of how do I um, you know develop this company and really increase the knowledge that we have in the company. And I feel like a lot of companies know already. And also, when I look at our neighbor countries, for example, the Netherlands, they are very, very at the top of the game when it comes to freelancers. And I feel like every company knows about this concept and about the option. So I think Germany is still a little behind, but I hope it's getting better and better, especially also when we have, you know, people like you, or events like Freelance Unlocked and all these things to really get this out there and show the companies that there is some options, and there's so many good people out there that can really support. And yeah.
And we also need to mention an elephant in the room. So we have all this automations, all this AI stuff coming. So I'm curious, from your perspective, how AI and automation changing the freelance market and the global workforce overall.
Of course, it will be very, very interesting, and there is a lot of freelancers that are already getting specialized in these kind of topics with AI and automation. And I talk to a lot of clients, and they, of course, are also curious. What is this? You know, what is this all about? And they already told me that they want to automate some processes internally. So that's where I say, hey, that's perfect, because I do have some freelancers that are perfect for that, and they have the knowledge because they also are learning how to deal with that, you know. And no one from their intern employees have this knowledge, so why not play as a freelancer in there for a couple of months?
And how do you use AI in recruiting process?
So we are also developing a lot of cool stuff with AI. Currently, what we are actually using right now is, for example, we have CV screening with AI. We have the best profiles popping up that we when we put like our key terms in. And sometimes, but we are working on cool things, you know, where we can also have someone call you and it's AI and really get first your data, if you are available, what's your budget, and all these things. So a normal person or a real person doesn't have to do this anymore. And we have a lot of automated processes, emails, all these kind of things to really help us, of course, get rid of the administrative task, to really have a focus on the people behind it and behind their CVs, and also to the client, to really understand the industry I'm working in, and to really understand, okay, who's the freelancer, what can he or she do, and who's the client, and really connect those people and really understand those connections. And I feel like AI is not able to replace that at all, because that's all about understanding really the human being behind that, and then really connect two parts. But everything that's administrative, I feel like I can also give to AI, because then I can focus more on important things, and that's people.
You know, it's all about like AI can definitely go through CV and find some pieces of information about like the hard skills, about the experience, etc. And still, it's all about the human connection and how can you make this human connection? How can you know if the person is responsible, if the person is like answering to a communication, if the person takes things personally and really invested into the project and what they are doing. At least as far as I know, maybe I don't know everything, most likely, and most likely there are some systems that are already doing that. But as long as I know, there are not, and we still need humans, and we need still to have this conversation. And that's, by the way, you are building like connections, relationships with other humans, and I feel like that's the best thing, that when you have a relationship with a client, you have a relationship with a freelancer, and if anything arises in between, you can easily talk to them. You can easily solve this because you know those people, and they will definitely, most likely, if they are not like really badasses, most likely they won't be doing some stuff to like make you sad or like make you like do your work bad. So definitely they will try to work. And AI is not there yet. We'll see what will happen in the future, but not yet. And if you could design the perfect system for integrating freelancers into the company, what would it look like?
Actually, it would look like it's right now at SThree, because I feel like no, I feel like we are very pushed into the direction of building those relationships that you just mentioned, and really have everything made easy for our freelancers and clients, so that they can focus on what's important for them, and that's finishing or working on the project, right? That's what they need each other for, and everything else, that's on us, and that's what we are there for. So basically, I would say, yeah, just work with SThree, because I feel like we are, or what I receive as a feedback, we're doing a great job, and that's what we are there for. And yeah.
And I mean, like when you are doing this, when you are new to freelance world, when you have no idea how to start, or even if you know how to start, you still have a lot of things to do. And sometimes it's good to delegate. And that's exactly because you are professionals, you are doing what you are doing for like many years. And for you, it's like super easy. And for someone, I feel like it's also like a huge blocker for many companies to start working with independent talents. They are not even starting the process, but they just think about of all of those potential blockers that they see in their minds, and they are already afraid of doing this, even without starting doing. And it's very good to go to professionals, to someone who already done that many times, and at least consult, at least ask how does it work. So it doesn't mean that you have to go and like work. You can do it yourself, but still you need some help, some support. You need to talk to someone else, and hopefully to do it like in the easiest and the best way. And you know, Kaja, I wish to have the sky as the limit, but time is the limit to the conversation. So what advice would you give to companies just starting to use freelancers and to freelancers entering the market?
So first of all, to companies, really work with, those with us, people like us, because as you also said, we are professionals, we are doing this for many years, so we know what we're talking about, and we can really help the companies to decide for the best options there are on the market, because we have those insights. And what I would give for freelancers as an advice, so I am a huge fan of LinkedIn. That's one thing that a lot of freelancers are not using still, to get some projects or to get some contacts. But network is so important. So don't underestimate that. And yeah, also come to us, to companies like us, if you have any questions or you're unsure about the tax situation or whatsoever, because also there, we have legal teams, we have professionals on board, so we can answer any questions there are.
You just mentioned LinkedIn, and just a question popped up in my mind. So
Yeah.
when you want to expand your network of freelancers,
Mhm.
what tools, platforms, or communities, like where do you go? What tools do you use in addition to LinkedIn?
Yeah, LinkedIn is my number one. Then I use freelance.de, freelancermap. Those are my favorites, but there's also smaller ones. And of course, our own data bank, because it's filled with so many talents. It's crazy. So freelancers can, of course, also send us their CVs, and then we can place them into our data system. So then they will also receive some offers or inquiries there.
And last but not least, name 2 people I should reach out to talk about the independent workforce.
So then I would recommend my colleagues, actually, because they are, those 2 colleagues that I'm saying are in different industries, which can be also very interesting. So Sue is one, she's in the e-commerce industry, and then Robin Würfler, he is in the IT industry. So also very interesting to talk with them.
Got it. And what is the best way to connect with you?
Basically everywhere. So LinkedIn, I think, is the number one. So it's just Kaja Storbeck. But if you want to reach out to my email, it's k.storbeck@progressive.com.
Got it. Kaja, thank you so much. First of all, for what you are doing, for growing the independent talent market, and for helping freelancers and companies to finally find each other and to become more productive, to deliver projects faster, to get more experience, and to learn, to teach each other, and to, I don't know, just to become better. And also, thank you so much for sharing your experience here and like creating this knowledge base for companies and people who want to start working with freelancers or who are already working with freelancers and want to become even better, because you have super valuable experience. And once again, thank you a ton for giving it away just like that.
Yeah, thank you too for those amazing questions. Really had a fun time.
And yeah, see you in the freelance world. And for listeners, thank you for joining us on this episode of the Independent Workforce. I hope you've taken one step closer to working smarter with freelance talent. If you enjoyed this conversation, subscribe to learn even more and share it with your colleague. And remember, the future of work is now.